Okay, now we're going to go over 9.3, and we're going to talk about the hypothesis testing. Okay, so the type of distributions. So really, this is going back to the flowchart that we've been using. So to kind of go over that, remember Chapter 8 was all about the confidence interval. Chapter 9 is all about the hypothesis test. Okay? So for this, they're talking about using the, doing it for a population mean or a population proportion. Population mean or a population proportion. Okay, same thing. Okay, now all of this stuff here, this is the notation for doing those hypothesis tests. Okay, but really, we're just going to do the hypothesis test for the mean or for the proportion. And we either know the population standard deviation, which is rare, or we don't know it. And now part of the assumptions, this is basically talking about what the required checks are. Saying that it's going to be normally distributed, that it has a sample size greater than 5, or excuse me, greater than 30, or that if you're talking about the proportions, if the sample size times the probability of success is greater than 5, or the sample size times the probability of failure is greater than 5. These are the same as your required checks here. For the proportion, it needs to meet the 3 conditions to be binomial, needs to be a random, and if you're doing an interval, okay, that's the interval. The number of successes has to be greater than 5, and the number of failures has to be greater than 5. But for Chapter 9, so this is where we're going to be doing the tests. Okay. And that's when your sample size times probability of success is greater than 7. And the sample size times probability of failure has to be greater than 5. And so it has to meet the 3 conditions, be a random, and the probability of success and failure times the number in your sample has to both be greater than 5. And for the mean, it needs to be a random sample and be normally distributed or have a sample size greater than 30. Most of the time, we meet it with the sample size being greater than 30. But it has to have random sample, normally distributed, or random sample, and the sample being greater than or equal to 30.